So let's harvest up this buckwheat. You can see it's starting to kind of blow out a little bit. That's because I really let this tray dry out quite a bit today. So it would be not much moisture at all on the microgreens themselves, on the buckwheat. There's very, very few seed holes here. I'm not going to worry too much about trying to separate them all, because there's really few. And I'm going to be putting them in this tray for now, because I think I'm going to add this to a mix later on. And so I don't want to put them in clamshells now and then dirty up and use up clamshells when I'm not ready to do that. So I'm just going to put them all right in this bin. Got my gloves on, got my scissors that have been all sanitized. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to zero out the scale. Turn it on with the tray already on it. It's zeroed. And go just like I was with the other microgreens. There's not a whole lot to learn from the buckwheat. It's going to be pretty basic. Any seed holes that are still on these, they'll pretty much come off in the tray or when I go to mix them up with my next microgreens that I'm going to use. And so I'm not too worried about separating them. But like I said, there's very, very few. I'm also not worrying too much about getting right down tight, because these have pretty long stems on it as it is, and I really wouldn't want them much longer than what I'm cutting them at. We're already up to 5.6 ounces. Now, buckwheat, there's many different things you can do with it. You can use it as is. It's a very mild microgreen, not a ton of flavor. It's really not one of my favorites, but some people really like it. Or you can use it in a mix. And it's great in a mix because you can really add a lot of volume to your microgreens and sort of begin to create a salad instead of having just a bunch of tiny little microgreens in your mix. And the mix is what I will be using it for. .2 ounces so far. It's definitely an easy microgreen to harvest because it's just not a lot of messing around. Just kind of cut it and place it in the bin. So that's going to do it for the buckwheat, and we got exactly a pound. I'm just going to put a lid on this, put it in the refrigerator, and later on I'll put it in a mix. Now let's do our sunflower. This tray is about as perfect as you pretty much can ask for of sunflower. It came out absolutely great. It's grown absolutely a perfect amount. A couple of them have a little bit of the first true leaf, but not much. So these will not be bitter. They'll be a really nice nutty flavor. I've pulled off a lot of the seed holes, but there are still some. And I'm really not going to be all that picky about making sure that I save all the ones that have holes on them. For the most part, I'll just discard them right back into the tray and toss them all out. It's not worth trying to pull all the seed holes off ones you think are still good. If it falls right off really easy, then yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead. Now you'll notice on sunflower, you'll have a bunch of them that are really kind of under the top growth that didn't really germinate very well, or they just didn't grow very tall. And so kind of like the radish you saw earlier, I'll just kind of use my finger across the bottom of them and just kind of knock those ones out. Then comes the sorting part, where I start just pulling out in one hand all of them that have seed holes still on them. I really try to do my best to make sure I don't package any that have seed holes. Sometimes if you cut just a little bit higher, you'll avoid getting some of these smaller ones that you don't really want. The smaller ones that have seed holes on them that you don't really want to package up. And it really doesn't take all that long. Definitely one of the most labor-intensive microgreens for this reason, though. For this particular microgreen, washing might actually save time, because it's easier to separate out the seed holes if you just throw these all in some water and let them float around. A lot of the seed holes will come off. A lot of them will just separate. It's easier to just figure out which ones have holes and which ones do not. Make sure you eat some as you go. Definitely one of my favorite microgreens for flavor. And I think you'll find that everybody that you introduce sunflower shoots to will agree that these are really good. 2 ounces exactly, so I'm going to add a little bit more. As I said before, I like my trays to be a little bit on the heavy side. Definitely don't want to be accused of shorting anybody. .4 ounces. Good amount there. There's really not much more to show other than that, so I'm going to harvest all this up. I'm also going to take off the sweatshirt because it's actually getting hot in here. And I'll show you what I end up with, and then we'll start on the pea shoots. So we ended up with 18 ounces of sunflower shoots, which is about average. That's pretty typical of what you're going to get out of a tray. And I wanted you to just see what was left. So this was all of like basically the rejects right here. So things that had seed holes on them, or anything that I thought wasn't premium. So if it was like disfigured or whatever, I separate it right out and just toss it. There's a little area right here where there was a little bit of damping off happening, and I just went right around it and left it. Didn't want to try to deal with any of those, try to save any of those. It's just not worth it. So that's basically what we ended up with for sunflower. I'm going to put these in the refrigerator. Let me get the pea shoots. Those are one of my favorite ones to harvest because they're just so easy. So we ended up with a lot of pea shoots, even though I grew about half of what I would normally grow as far as the seed quantity or seed density. We ended up with a nice full tray. So this is beautiful. They're a little bit taller than I would like, but that's not a problem because I'll just cut them up a little bit higher and not worry about all the stem. What you really want to be delivering is the nice fluffy greens when it comes to a pea shoot. And I've already tasted one of these and it was fantastic. Like I had said earlier, I don't usually grow dun pea, but it came in the kit, and so I wanted to grow it with you guys. And it tastes just like all the other peas I've grown. It's sweet, it's good. I don't know if I'd say it's as good as like a speckled pea, but it's a pretty good pea shoot. So let's get started harvesting these up. These are so easy and so fast to harvest. That's one of the things I just love about them. Nice handful. You can even smell just how nice they are as you're cutting them. Now these I also did not water today, and they really could have used it. So the soil is pretty dry, but that's just going to make the product last that much longer because it's nice and dry as well. You always want to be packaging nice, dry microgreens whenever you can. .15 ounces, that's pretty good. .5 ounces, but we'll give it to them. And one jumped out because it wanted to be eaten. Now I know it's a little boring to watch me do this, but I'm just going to let this go real time, and you can watch and see how just easy it is to harvest a whole tray of pea shoots. It does not take long, and you can really do it a whole lot faster than when I'm doing it. So we ended up with 14 ounces, which for planting 8 ounces of seed, 14 ounces of pea shoots is pretty fantastic. You can't really complain at that. That's not bad at all. So that's going to conclude our soak and seed planting of soil. And hope you learned something from this. I hope you enjoyed growing your own and continue on with the course.